increasing very quickly. So getting our testing capacity up is critical. We're working with private laboratories.
But we haven't had enough testing so far.
Correct.
There's two schools of thought. One is that it's the tip of the iceberg that we know about because we haven't been testing. The other is that you don't see the anecdotal evidence of emergency rooms being flooded with symptomatic people that appear to have the coronavirus. Would we know if it was much more widespread than we think by seeing people come to the emergency room right now?
We might. It's a little tricky because we're in flu season. Flu is waning. Our positive flu test, the percentage of all the tests that are positive on people coming in with respiratory infections is lower. Okay. That actually might be our signal that we're still seeing a lot of people presenting with respiratory illness, but it's not so high flu anymore at this point. Flu goes down in the spring.
So he's asking the question, when is it going to be deployable? And that is going to be at the earliest a year to a year and a half, no matter how fast we go.
I think that's right. And as you said, the treatment's going to be available before the vaccine.
And in many ways, it might be more exciting.
You see what happened there? Anthony Fauci had to intervene in the middle of the meeting to get the pharmaceutical executives to explain back to the president who wants a vaccine in a month or two that that's not happening, that's going to be 18 months. Fauci had to speak up to make sure that they communicated accurately. Treatment might be more exciting, the president concludes. The government, our government, is failing right now, and there is nothing to point the cameras at. There's no Hurricane Katrina moment.
Okay, so to add to that, I called up the local hospital, the local university, called up a congressional delegate or member, the House, however you want to say it, and also called up the local news agency. And that Como got, none of them said that anything's being done in Ohio. Maybe he got the initiative rolling, or maybe the initiative was already started. I think a lot of the critics. So in New York City, they do have their own testing, but they had to take their own initiative on that. And it looks like states are going to have to take their own initiative, and that's going to be what's going to determine if you're going to have an abundance of testing. Now that's going to go back to the budget issues and all the other stuff that none of the politicians want to have to deal with. And nobody wants new expenses. But currently in Ohio, there's nothing happening. We have some of the best universities here in Ohio, I think, in the whole country, as opposed to what Como says. I think we have very good ones. We've always had a stable economy. Even during 2008, it was relatively stable. The job markets were okay. But we have no testings here. We have no futures of any testings. And according to the colleges, well, they're not answering their phones with regards to the public relations. So if you're in Ohio, that's where we're at. Thanks for watching.
Which is about double the normal flu rate. But again, with populations, senior citizens, immune compromised, and people they are isolated in their homes. So we're seeing what we expected, what we anticipated, which is a continuing spread. We're working with private laboratories where Department of Health will share their testing protocol with those laboratories, but increasing the capacity of testing by bringing on those proven labs. We announced, as you know, insurance regulations that will protect people who have to pay any costs. I'm going to amend the paid sick leave bill that I sent to the legislature to add a specific provision that says people who, because of this situation with coronavirus, have to be quarantined, should be protected. Their employer should pay them for the period of quarantine, and their job should be protected. And I'm going to make that amendment to the paid sick leave bill that I sent up.